Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Watcheese Radio podcast, your home for the horological hot takes, taboo topics, and often unpopular watch opinions. As always, I'm your host, Brodinky, and with me, as always, is my good buddy Schmidt. Schmitty, what's up this week, kid?
Not a whole lot, man. How are you doing?
Same old, same old. I'm kind of like a kid in the middle of summer. I'm feeling out like how much time I got left till I got to go back to the grind type of thing.
Yeah.
But all is well.
The clock is ticking, huh?
Yeah, it's been a nice week. My wife's been on winter break, so we had the whole family home, no daycare,
Nice.
no nothing. So we've been doing a lot of stuff, museums and everything, and just
All
hanging
the
out with the
all
family.
Yeah, all the stuff that you want to do like during normal times, but there's just never enough time to do it.
Yeah, you're passing the kids back and forth between shifts and
Yeah.
sleeping, and that's basically what it is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, we got a good show planned for today. Episode 70, big 70,
70.
almost to the 3/4 century mark. It's
My
exciting.
gosh.
Crazy to think about, right? Almost
Yeah.
we'll be, before you know it, coming up on 100 episodes. That'd be
I
insane.
know. I was thinking about this the other day with my wife, and she's like, "You've done." I mean, I can't say. I think I've missed what 2 or 3 episodes,
Yeah,
so I maybe like it's 67 episodes or something like that. But I never in my life have I ever been so consistent about one certain thing. And it's been amazing to just do it and see it through. So it's been fun. It's
yeah.
been
Well,
amazing.
it's something. It's a little strange. It's almost like how when you have a gym partner, you go to the gym more often. Like if it was
Yeah.
just on you, you'd be like, I could skip it this week. But you almost have like a little bit more of incentive to do it when you're doing it with someone else, and you have people who are listening and tuning in to and expect that episode to be coming out, type of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, totally agree.
So yeah. But cool news with regard to last episode, we got word tonight that we will be having 2 of those resin Seikos shipped our way. So that's awesome. Hype for that. Big shouts to the homie
Yes.
Adam for hooking it up, our buddy Down Under.
Yeah.
So
Down under, sending
yeah,
us some Resi Seikos.
he helped us out, got us a real nice price, and is going to ship them over here. So that's great. Thanks again, Adam.
Oh, you're a real one, Adam.
He was
Real
all
one.
over it, man. That was quick.
I mean, and yeah, I mean, just shout out to him. But like when you meet a guy who's down and you've never actually met him in the like in real life, like that's just amazing. I'm like, hey,
Yeah,
I need a favor.
it's
I don't really
crazy.
know you, but I'm gonna buy these watches for you. You send me money and I'll ship them halfway around the world. Done.
Yeah.
Okay, that guy's a real one. So shout out to you, buddy.
Yeah. Aside from that, housekeeping, yeah, Hodeki selling merch.
So are you down for this $80 hat?
All right, let's remember for a moment that bro had hats before Ho. All right.
Yeah, that's true.
I got one on the dome right now. Just saying. It's something I want
And
to point out.
and I don't think it was $80.
No, certainly not. I was selling them at cost. I just wanted people to have them.
I know. I
But
know.
yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. What it just shows you where things are going. It's like the hypewear, streetwear.
Yeah, but
It's
it's
just a
just
different
I don't
direction.
know. Just for me, it's just so out of touch. It's so out of touch. Like you could have done a merch hat, but like, does it have to be $100? Like it just, yeah, whatever. Danny, get your
dang,
shit together.
dang it, Danny.
God dang it, Danny.
All right. We can go on to the new stuff real quick because this is going to be our Watches and Wonders episode. And we'll get into a little more of the rationale of that in a moment. But let's hit real quick. I'm going to go with Airain because we talked about them recently. We talked about their Type 20. So not only do they now have it in a steel in that sort of classic black dial Type 20 that you're familiar with, maybe from Breguet or somebody, but now they
Mm-hmm.
have a gray limited edition. Neither you nor I know how to pronounce this. It looks like Four de Vite. It's a
Yeah, we're
French
gonna go with
company.
that.
I'm hoping it's French. It might not even be, but who knows? But
We're gonna go with that and say that that's what it is.
yeah, it's a limited edition, 2,900 euro, and it's DLC gray.
Yeah,
It's very stealthy looking. Comes on a leather strap, and it's basically just grayed out. It's got a somewhat creamy loom going on. But
Yeah,
same idea,
a little creamy
Type
loom, but
20. But if you don't remember about this watch, the specs on it are really quite nuts.
insane.
39.5 by 10.8 thick. Now keep in mind, this is a manual wind, column wheel, flyback chronograph.
With 63 hours of power reserve.
Correct.
It's insane. I mean, yeah. I
Like
want one
it,
really bad, but there's
like
no way
if
I'm
you think
gonna
about
sneak
that,
this one past the wife.
yeah, imagine somebody like an IWC could deliver a pilot chrono like that.
Yeah, with a flyback.
Right.
I mean, we're not talking Blancpain here,
No.
right? It's just insane. Like, somebody out there that's listening, go buy this watch. Even if you get the standard version, just go buy it. It's just too cool not to own it.
Yeah, it's
Very
definitely
cool movement.
intriguing to say the least. But really cool watch overall. We touched on it plenty recently in a few episodes. And yeah, I don't know how they fit all that into that package, but down to find out.
Yeah, I would love to see one for sure.
Next up, Longines, a watch you are not entirely fond of. They released what is called the Pilot. I'm gonna say Majetic. Anyway, it was originally a watch that was made for Czech pilots
Mm-hmm.
in like the 1930s, I want to say.
Yeah, I
And
think it's 1930s. Yeah.
so I guess the original was 40 mils. This one's 43 by 13.25. It's
Yeah.
a steel watch. It's got, what would you call that? Like a ribbed bezel?
I mean, it's definitely a fluted bezel. It's just not a fluted bezel in the way that we would
Right.
associate, like
Yeah.
typically with like a Jubilee or something like that. Um, but it's designed to rotate. So this does have an internal rotating triangular marker that floats over
Yeah, I do
top of
see
the
that.
dial, and it allows you to set like a flight time, right? The starting a flight or when you need to refuel or whatever it might be, you can make calculations using your fixed starting point of whatever time reference you're using. Um, I like the idea of this watch, but I'm just not sold on the execution, personally. Especially because this is one of those watches that Longines always does heritage pieces so well,
Yeah.
but for me, this is just kind of a weird departure from that. Just because of the size specs. I mean, the original was 40, as you mentioned, and this one we're getting a 43 millimeter. It looks like a bulky watch, and I'm sure that the original would have been very similar to that design, but it looks a little bit too bulky for me personally.
It does have a little Longines snuck around with Panerai vibe to it.
Yeah, that. I didn't want to say it, but it's totally what it is. Like, if you don't want to go out and buy a Panerai, but you're okay with a $3,800 Longines, like, this is your jam. I would go get this thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. It's definitely novel. I mean, it's something you're not going to get many places.
Yeah.
I think some people probably like this design. I don't know where I fall on it. I think I'm kind of in between, to be honest.
Like I said,
But
I don't hate it. It's just not something that I'm like, oh my God, this is the watch that I need to spend $3,800 on.
yeah, yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, if you're a collector and you want something esoteric, you want something weird, you want something off the cuff that when you show up to a meetup, people are not going to have seen it in person otherwise in maybe a blog post, right? This is a watch for that. This watch will sell to somebody. There's no question about it, right? But for me, this is a watch that is not going to satiate the average watch collecting person. And I don't think that was the intention either. Because again, it's not a bad watch. It's not a bad looking watch. It's just a watch that for me feels a little bit out of place.
I get that. But I think you're right. I think Longines does kind of provide that for a lot of people, sort of this obscure type of stuff. Like, for example, the Big Eye, awesome watch.
Yeah,
You're not going to see
totally.
a lot of them around, but I know people who have them and
Yeah.
like them and they're cool. And if you see one in person, definitely check it out. It's a very, very cool watch. But they give you these sort of heritage pieces and the ability to own them easily. So I got to give them kudos for that. I really do like
Yeah.
that. And even if maybe they're making stuff that isn't maybe my jam, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, like I said, I can totally respect it. I have no problems against this watch. It's just not a watch for me. I would run out and gravitate towards. But if you're somebody that is in the aviation history, you're a pilot yourself, you like old world things. This is a watch that certainly feels very old world. And obviously, it's made new. It's got new materials, new construction. It's a new movement. It's a really great built watch. So go check it out if you like it. Just not my jam.
Yeah. All right. Zinn dropped a bunch of stuff, and I will preface this by saying somehow, some way, in the same exact fashion as last year, where I woke up at 3 in the morning and saw the black U50 with the blue dial that I currently own. I literally woke up at 4 a.m., checked my phone, saw you have an email from Watch Buys. Here are the new Zins. And I was like, wow, this really just happened again. I didn't buy one, but this year they're giving us what's called the T50.
Yeah.
It's a titanium diver, similar, not exact specs to the U50, but similar in case dimensions and everything. You're still going to get the 500 meters water resistance and all the fun submarine materials and all that. But
Mm-hmm.
so this is titanium. They dropped a few different ones, so you're going to get one that's all titanium, very sterile looking black dial. One with a bronze gold bezel, and then a complete bronze gold case.
Yeah. Yeah.
And some of them are limited, some of them are not with regard to that. So the regular T50, not limited. It's going to come in around 3840, I think it said. The GBDR, which is the gold bronze bezel, 4670. And then the all gold bronze 5760, which is a 300 piece LE. Now, I like the idea of this watch. A couple gripes I have. For one, when I think Zinn Diver, I think what everybody refers to as the Lego hands, very
Yeah.
blocky, very like Tetris looking.
Yeah.
To me, that's Zinn. I mean, I know you want to branch out. Maybe you have these hands for other models. We've seen them on, shake things up a little bit. I get it. But to me, Zinn Diver is all about that. They always give me some red text. Usually when you have a straight up model, like just a straight up all titanium or
Yeah.
all steel, they give you some red text. No red here.
Yeah.
Kind of a bummer. So
Yeah.
I
It's a little bit too monochromatic. It almost looks like,
yes,
right?
yes, very sterile, very
Yeah.
like the 556.
Yeah. 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 That's right.
I
Yeah.
like
If
them
you were to
much
kind of
better
make
with
that a
the
diver.
when I have when they have like the red second hand, I like them a lot better. When they're
Yeah.
all just black and white, they get a little plain. Get spice them up with a NATO or something.
Yeah. I
But
mean, that's true. And especially when you look at like the all titanium version, you got titanium bezel, no insert,
right.
titanium case, titanium bracelet. Even the rubber strap is like a matte light gray. You know what I
Yes.
mean? So it's very tone on tone. It's very monochromatic, which some people really love. And if you're buying this as like a military aesthetic watch, totally get it. It's very, very stealthy in that regard. But I agree. I feel like something's a little bit missing, and I think that's a pop of color. And for me, I could do without the red because red is such a hard color to wear constantly. But give me an orange or give me electric green, something different. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that is still Zen, but not Zen.
Yeah, I get that. Now I do want to check these out because I have, the U50. It's great, great, great size, great weight. But to feel that in titanium, I think would be really interesting.
Yeah.
I want to check that out for sure. Now, we were talking before because obviously you being a big Omega head, they are known for their bronze gold alloy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
This one, people see it, they see the price tag is under $6,000 and they say, whoa, 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 why is the Omega up over 10?
Yeah. Yeah. So I was doing some research because when I saw this, I mean, and technically, Zen calls theirs gold bronze, which doesn't quite have the same ring to it, I think, as bronze gold. But that's just me being biased. But it's a new alloy that Zen is has created essentially, and basically what it is mixing traditional marine grade bronze with a small concentration of gold. In this case, it's 12.5% AU 750 which equates out to basically 3 carats gold. So that's what you'll notice when you look at the color tone of this particular watch. It's more of like a rosy color, almost like a skin.
It's a warm gold.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's it's warm, right? It has obviously the bronze undertones to it, but it's not too yellow where it, because sometimes bronze when it's brand new, it looks like yellow gold, or old gold, right? It doesn't look like that. It looks more of like a kind of a red gold look to it. But it certainly is a unique material. Now, nobody's confirmed this on any of the research that I've done, but essentially the idea was for Omega at least to create bronze gold was one to create a bronze alloy that was chemically stable. Because as you guys know, one of the big attractive things with bronze, the patination process, you get the unique look. But the problem with that is as the bronze patinas technically the patination that develops and oxidizes onto the outward surface is not really safe to wear in direct contact with your skin. It's actually toxic. And so Omega decided to create this bronze gold alloy to be completely hypoallergenic while still giving you the bronze look of a timepiece and feel, right? Especially because, classical diving instruments, things like that were so closely associated with that material during the golden era of diving. Now, I don't know if this is the same for the gold bronze here. I would imagine that it's going to have some more hypoallergenic properties, just given the fact that now you've included a precious material like gold into the mixture. I'm sure it's also going to make it a little bit more chemically stable, but I don't know. So the biggest difference too between this particular alloy of gold bronze versus the Omega bronze gold is certainly the concentration. So this is 12.5% gold, whereas Omega uses 37.5% gold. So it's 9 carat versus 3 carat. And bronze gold is alloyed with palladium. Um, and that is a really big key stabilization metal to keep it safe from oxidizing as drastically. But it's very cool to see a micro brand like Zinn, a truly independent company, do something that's very innovative, especially given their history making other materials, tegimented steel, titanium, all these very cool materials that they do. It's nice to see them make a unique new material.
Yeah, for sure. And just a couple other differences. I don't know if you caught this, but the T50 bezel is a little different from the U50. It has sort of more of a heavy, thicker scalloping on it. And then the second hands, so on the T50 and the T50 with just the gold bronze bezel, it
Mm-hmm.
has a gray second hand. On the all bronze gold, it has sort of a bronzy
Yeah,
gold second hand.
yeah, I
And
did
then
notice that.
for this style, instead of just having the straight up black sort of neutral Zen dial, they have a sort of scratched up distress dial. It's a technique called Deckerschliff, which means decoratively cut. And so they used it on
So
this.
aggressive.
Yeah. They used it on this, and then they used it on a model of the U50, which is also a limited edition as well. It's the U50 TDS, basically DS for Deckerschliff. It's just a very monochromatic gray U50 with a grayish, blackish Deckerschliff dial.
All right.
Yep. And then one other U50, they did an all black with a mother of pearl dial. So that's kind of a way out there, esoteric, off the map type of thing for them. But
Yeah.
I've seen them mess with mother of pearl before, but it doesn't really. I guess mother of pearl and getting into precious metals is really two things that are very non-Zin, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah,
broadening your horizons, I guess.
absolutely.
And then I guess last but not least in the new department, I know it was something fun you just kind of sent me, but G Shock made a Wu Tang watch. I mean,
Yes, they
which is
did.
funny because we were talking about I was talking about Wu Tang with Zakir a couple episodes ago. That's just why I bring it up. But they made a Wu Tang watch, and I think is this the same model as the John Mayer, the same base
Uh,
model?
is it the one with the 3 circles on the top?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So they have a John Mayer and a Wu Tang in the same model. It's just funny. It's for the 30. So Wu Tang turned 30 basically,
Yeah.
and it has a gold case back, and it's got the Wu logo on it, and it's in black and yellow because if anybody knows anything about Wu Tang, they're known as the Killer Bees. Bees are black and yellow,
Yeah.
So there's some fun callbacks. It's just a funny little
Yeah.
thing to note.
It's an interesting watch for sure. Totally not my thing, but I know, if you love the golden age of hip hop, the 80s and 90s, like this is totally right up your alley. And
Yeah.
I love the inside of the bezel. Cash rules everything around me. I'm like, oh
Cream.
wow.
Get that money. Dollar
Yeah,
dollar
that's
bill.
right.
Anyways, yeah, just a fun little release. And it's G-Shock is actually pretty big in the sort of streetwear hip hop
Oh, for
community. Like
sure.
Eminem is a huge G-Shock guy, if I remember.
Yes, he is. Like
So
he's worn several like gold resin G-Shocks on interviews and stuff. I'm like, really, bro? You couldn't have worn a different model? You just no, you're
well,
gonna
one
go with that
one
one.
interview he
Cool.
talks about how he's like, I got famous, I started making a lot of money, and I can't
Yeah.
remember who it was his manager, whoever, and he's like,
I
Can
think it
I
was his accountant.
he's like,
He's
Can
like,
I
can I have
afford a Rolex?
yeah, he's like, can I afford this?
It's humble beginnings,
That's
man.
when
That's
you
what it
know,
is.
yeah, that's when you know you're straight humble from the
Yeah.
streets. Like, cause you're like, I don't even know what this costs because I've never been able to look at one before.
Right.
Pretty gangster story. Amazing rapper
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, amazing. But yeah, go buy a Wu-Tang Clan watch if you're into that.
Yep. All right. Main topic today. We're going to be talking watches and wonders. I know it's a few weeks away still, but the driving force behind this is that this year we had AP dump the motherload already. Last year, Omega jumped the gun on us, right? We have
Yep.
a few people who've already been putting out new models. I would rather get this one out into the ether and just have it out there, even if it's a week or two early, rather than have it on the docket and then people start dumping stuff and then we're like, no, we don't get our predictions episode out. You don't get to have fun and kind of
Yeah.
think about what could be. So I know you and I both have probably some of the bigger hitters lined up. We'll just go through them. I mean, it's pretty standard, but we'll probably hit on most of the hits here. So I think we always lead it off with Tudor. Tudor is always an interesting one because if you've listened to our podcast, kind of our stance is that we both want them to be sort of better than they are. And that's not saying they're bad. They're not bad at all. I fawn over the original Pelagos I owned. Their watches are great. I've owned plenty of them. But there's always sort of an inkling, and it's not just us. Plenty of people talk to me about it all the time. An
Mm-hmm.
inkling that, bigger brothers kind of holding them back,
Yeah. They need
right?
to be unlocked.
Yeah, it's a weird situation. I mean, it's don't get me wrong, it's marketing genius. Like they're using multiple levels of demand there between the two brands, and they're doing it successfully. All their watches sell, mostly a trader, but that all the popular ones, the Black Bays and everything, they all move. So they've created a demand, and it's working really well. But I think for us, we would like to see Tudor sort of go out on their own and just be a force to be reckoned with, right? Where they had in the 90s, they had a Rolex sub and a Tudor sub at the same time,
Yeah.
right? Why not?
And it obviously was able to work.
Yeah. And now look, they're both in super high demand.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I know you and I had kind of different ways we went about this one because I always like to think about either stuff I really want to see or stuff that might be crazy to see. And then sometimes you bring it back and you were like, well, what if they do it this way? So I'll throw some at you real quick.
Yeah.
I think the one I always have been seeing, and it's been since last year, has been a Polar Black Bay Pro.
I
Could it
can see that.
happen?
I
Yeah.
could see it.
Would it make
I
sense? Yeah.
yeah.
Do we get what we want from them a lot? No.
No.
So
No.
I'm gonna lean away from that one as much as I think that would be a very cool release.
Yeah. No, it certainly would be a cool release. Absolutely. I mean, I've seen renderings of people doing this already. Like it's been as of last year when the black one came out. So it certainly would be very cool for them to do a white one. But I'm wondering if that's too on the nose.
Right. Now, what we have noticed in the past is that things that we want or things that we have predicted, not just us, we, the fam,
The community.
yeah, we often get sort of backdoored in Rolex, in Tudor. Sorry.
Yeah.
So, what I'm thinking is maybe we finally get maybe a Coke GMT. but it'll be a
Okay.
Black Bay GMT, and or maybe we just get a straight up black Black Bay GMT. So
You know,
sort of
I
in the
that would be
idea of
cool.
in the idea of the GMT master, you or maybe they'll throw it as a steel and gold. They love to do the steel and gold, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, there's been a two tone GMT master before, so not completely out of the realm of
Well, and they
possibility.
had the SNG root beer, right?
Right,
The Black Bay SNG root beer.
right. So I think that
Um,
lines up.
yeah, I just think, overarchingly, we were talking about this offline. I think overarchingly for me this year, I think it's going to be a very lackluster showing from Tudor. And the reason for this is what I've been noticing over the years is Rolex will have a very big year and Tudor will release a very few novelties or really a few things that are of note. And then the next year, Tudor will have a big year, and then Rolex kind of, they hold themselves back. And I think last year was certainly indicative of that. We had our watches and blunders episode,
Yeah,
which is still to date one of my favorite episodes we've ever recorded. And they came out with the left-handed GMT, and everyone was like, "This is a joke, right? Like we're being punked, right? Like this is just a bad rendering that got leaked too early."
right. We got
No,
crown guards on the Air King.
yeah, exactly. So it was just like very just like okay. Everyone was like expecting more. There was expecting a big wow factor, but we didn't get that. So I'm wondering if because Rolex held them back a little bit, that this year is going to be a big showing for the crown, which we'll discuss a little bit later. But for me, that is pretty indicative that Tudor's probably going to have a pretty lackluster year, especially given what we've received over the last 2 years, right? We got the FXT, we got the Pelagos 39, we got the Black Bay Pro, we had the Master Chronometer Black Bay. They've come out with a lot of great pieces. The Ranger came out last year.
Yeah,
They've come out with a lot of great pieces that I think that they're still struggling to deliver in mass market. And so, why add on more strife for the consumer and distraction for them when it comes to purchasing these watches by going and offering a bunch of new references when they can't even get the ones that they already have released last year? So I think, if anything, my predictions are going to be pretty simple. Maybe we'll see some additions to different lineups, like maybe the 1926 gets a few new models here and there. Maybe the Tudor Royal will get some stuff. There might be one or two kind of cool pieces that get sprinkled in. I think the Black Bay GMT all black bezel sounds great. That would be a very logical watch, and I think that that's something that people would enjoy to
yeah,
have. Especially because again, it's hard to wear blue and red everywhere you go. It looks cool,
yeah.
but is it always
Root beer
cool?
even more so.
Exactly, right? So having a very neutral monochromatic look that might be exactly what people need. Um, but I think it's going to be pretty lackluster this year for Tudor, and I don't really know of anything that the market has really been pining for that they haven't received already recently.
Yeah, that's why I tried to focus some of these on. I don't want to say just interchanging parts of stuff that they already had,
Mm-hmm.
but like I could maybe, maybe we get like a Kermit aesthetic Black Bay 58 because they already have the green bezel,
Yeah.
right? From
Well, I
the
hope it's
gold.
not that green. That green is horrible. It's literally like pea soup green. It's terrible.
And then I think everybody's clamoring or has at least hoped for a North Flag reboot at some point.
I just don't think it'll ever happen again.
It's an interesting watch, and I think if
I
they
know
just
it
move,
is.
they just shifted it around a little bit, it could be really, really cool.
I agree with you. I know it's a cool watch, but I think that Tudor is indicative of an era where Tudor was very much its own entity outside of Rolex's shadow
Yeah,
and really trying to distance itself from the crown as much as possible. As we've talked about, through changes of leadership in Switzerland and things like that, Tudor has become Rolex Light. Whatever Rolex cannot produce or is in demand from the market, they will use Tudor as a testing field to release that in their collection, right? We got a root beer, GMT Master. Okay, cool. Let's give the Tudor ones, the Tudor clients one as well. We did the same thing with the Pepsi. We didn't do a crazy update to the GMT, right? The Explorer 2. And people have been asking for a big orange triangle hand Explorer 2 vintage model for years. And then all of a sudden, here you go, Black Bay Pro, right? So it's like whatever people want to see really happen, it kind of gets tested out in Tudor before it maybe ends up in the Rolex collection, or it's a way to help satiate the clients. Is like just do it in Tudor and we'll be done with it. But I don't know. It's it's tricky.
Yeah, that aside, I don't know. Blue Pelly 39, or maybe if they really want to get cute, maybe a burgundy bezel, something like that, right? Because that was in the original Black
It
Bays was in
was, yeah,
burgundy.
it
So
was.
maybe logical jumps there. I don't know. I like to get a little saucy with my tutor because they have their playbook is wide open. They don't have to follow a script. I mean, they follow the Rolex sort of.
But that's my point. Is that legacy of Tudor what we all fell in love with in 2012 when it got relaunched in the US? I think that legacy is really done. I really do. I think it's going to be very much the conservative, like we will do whatever Rolex tells us to do, and whatever they don't want to do, we will do because it gives us the ability to do it. But I don't think we're going to ever see anything that's too truly outlandish. I don't think we're going to get another advisor. I don't think we're ever going to get a Monte Carlo. I don't think we're ever going to get a home plate like those cool designs. I don't think Tudor is going to do. I would love for them to scrap the Black Bay Chrono or the Baytona as I call it and do a big block. Like, let's do a Tudor big block again. Like, why not? What's stopping us?
Yep.
But they just won't do it. You know what I mean? So it's just like I that legacy of Tudor there's something going on, but I just don't think we're gonna get a lot from them this year. And I don't know. I could be completely wrong. Everything I say could be completely wrong, but I feel like Rolex is really going to bring the fire this year in some capacity. It is a big year, which we'll get to that a little bit later on, but we'll see.
All right. Going from them, as I forementioned, a brand that sort of dumped early last year. They're not on the list this year. And rumor has it they might be doing their own thing, perhaps a little later, right? Omega, I don't really know where to place them this year. I mean, I know we've already got the new Speedy Racing. We know that they're just now getting those really neat Aquaterras in that were sort of the multicolors.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm.
they're still delivering on that stuff. Obviously, the Moon Swatch, even though it was a collaboration, was a huge to do last year. I don't think they could top perhaps that. I don't think they're gonna carpet bomb Watches and Wonders again this year.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that was a one trick pony move, and I don't think you can keep doing it.
No, definitely not. But so what do you think? Do you think they'll expand on the Speedy Racing line?
I think it's too early to tell with that one. I think, you know, given what I know about Omega over the years, they'll do one kind of capsule piece that introduces a technology or some type of new thing. And then from there, they'll slowly start rolling it out into the rest of the collection. And I would be honest, according to what I saw in a article, or I should say a video recording between Revolution and President CEO Reynald Ashleman of Omega, it took 10 years for this spy rate technology to come out. Okay. So at the moment that Omega
Gar.
launched, yeah, exactly. Um, I was listening to somebody on YouTube and they keep calling it Spirate. I'm like, guys, like that just it's not. It's just spy rate. Like, don't sound like a clown. Anyway, uh the moment that Omega introduced anti-magnetic technology in 2013 with the Bumblebee, the 15,000 Gauss Aquaterra, that was the same year that they started the development on spy rate. Like, think about that. That's crazy, right?
Yeah, that's insane.
It's insane. Like, how can you think that far in advance for a project like this? So I think whatever we might get this year probably won't have spy rate in it because it's already been in development for several years prior to that. Um, because they got to make sure the technology is viable and that it works, right? If it's a complete and utter failure, which I don't think it would be, but let's say if it was, then if you rolled it out in every single collection, you had to roll it back, right?
Yep.
So by leaving it out, keeping it in that way in a kind of concise format for a few models and years, and then you start scaling it, I think that's next. But I don't think we'll see anything really with spy rate the rest of this year. I could be wrong, but what I do hope that we do get, and again, I don't really know what Omega is going to do because rumor is they're not going to do a big show before Watches and Wonders. But I really do hope that we get a new dark side this year. It is an anniversary for the dark side. It's 10 years. I think a lot of us thought that when the Spyrite technology was going to be announced, it was
Yeah,
going to be a new dark side. I'm hoping that we get something new this year, especially given that it's 10 years and it's one of the only holdouts in the current Omega lineup that is not anti-magnetic and it's not master chronometer certified, which is pretty crazy.
it sure is.
And those watches have seen a crazy resurgence in the last several years that they're basically impossible to find at retailers. Like they sell so fast. So I think it's the market's primed, and I think people are ready for a new generation.
About like a red side or something, or you know,
That would be sick,
they
right?
have this whole new, now that Mars exploration is a thing, they have this whole extra heavenly body to work with. So why not just lean into it? And now you can make everything in a shade of red, which is like a color that's really hard to have an excuse to go into in watches. So
Mm-hmm.
why the hell not?
Well, it's funny. I was talking with a collector, and he's like, "This would be my pitch to Omega." So Omega, if you're listening, this would be, I guess, my pitch through him vicariously. He's like, the Moon Swatch was such a major success. What I would really love Omega to do is take one of the Moon Swatches that they created and create an actual Speedmaster professional version of it.
Might as well do the blue, right? That's like the rarest one.
Could you imagine like doing a 42 millimeter Speedmaster blue side of the moon Neptune like in ceramic? Like that would be
That would be
amazing.
like Smurf level, like attainability.
Yeah, but again, like why not? Right? You do one of those watches a year. Like you do, one run of them a year. I think people would go nuts. And I was like, I didn't even think about that, but that's probably true. You don't think Omega can make a red ceramic Speedmaster? Like,
I
why
mean,
not?
why not? Yeah, at this point.
They could do anything. So I thought that that was a pretty novel idea, and so I was like, if I ever have a chance to share it, I'm going to share it. So this is me sharing it. I
This
mean,
is
why
me
not?
putting it out into the universe.
Hey, man, put good vibes. You might get good
That's
vibes
it.
back. But yeah, I was like, that's actually a really amazing idea. Is to take one of the additions to the Moon Swatch, scale it to a normal Speedmaster, and riff it into a new collection, and you do maybe one or two of them a year and just randomize. It doesn't matter. They come out when they come out, and it just boom, collector's piece, hype wear.
Yeah, it gives
I
you
think it would be
something
sick.
else other than Snoopy models to chase after.
Exactly, exactly. Other than Snoopy and 321s, like
Right.
Jesus, poor Omega salespeople.
All right, let's go with one that you surprised me because you had a good take on. I have them on my list, but it was sort of just a question mark. Let's go with IWC.
Yeah,
What do you got?
IWC. So I think IWC. One, I got to give a lot of credit where credit's due. There's a good listener that listens every single week, so this will kind of be a shout out to him. He knows who he is, but big IWC guy, and I think IWC is a little bit right now played out on the pilot game.
Yes.
They've been doing such a good job with the pilots, whether it's the ceramic colored Pantone series or the AMG Patronus team editions,
So
like
good.
41 millimeter pilot, or big pilot. Like they've done a lot of stuff. Even if you take that even further, they did the rubber straps, the quick change rubber straps for their pilot models and a lot of their pieces to make them more universal. Because I think that that was one of the biggest challenges with the pilot watch. One is always the size, and two, it's like, oh, I can only wear this on a leather strap, so I can't take it in the water. I can't, whatever. So let's make it more of a lifestyle piece. Let's give it rubber strap options. Let's make quick change bracelets. Let's give it more character to make it usable. But right now, I think that you're starting to see the collector community waning a little bit about the pilots because you can only collect so many of them. You know
Sure.
what I mean? It's like a Speedmaster. You can only collect so many of them before you're just like, I'm speedied out. So I think the next evolution for IWC is really to look at some of the other collections in their catalog and really give those some life. So there's two that I would love to see come back, and I'm hoping that one of them will this year. Um, there's the Aqua Timer collection, which is like their dive watch.
Yep.
It hasn't been touched in years.
No, it's been a while.
It's been a very long time. And IWC used to create some amazing, amazing dive watches in the Aqua Timer collection. So I would really love to see them share some love in that space and really give those watches a new breath of fresh air and life because I think that they can do it. But I think the one that probably makes the most sense, just given the market trend over the last couple of years, is to relaunch the engineer.
Okay.
Um, I think a lot of people have been asking for it. I've seen it in the comments over the last several years, like bring it back, bring it back, bring it
The
back.
old
Yeah,
ingenieur.
yeah. I mean, so they've had an engineer, but it was like they had like a vintage inspired one.
Yes.
But I'm talking about the previous version to that, right? They did a lot with Mercedes on the racing team. They used that watch a lot. But it was basically like the Genta-esque designed
Yeah.
integrated bracelet case
Chunky,
anti-magnetic
angular.
watch.
Yeah.
Exactly. We've seen so many watches from different brands come out with this design. I think it makes sense. It might be a little bit too late on the trend, but it is so quintessentially IWC that I don't think a lot of people will care. And I would be very happy and pleasantly surprised if IWC does come out with something that's this amazing because people have been asking about it for a long time.
Yeah. And if you're an IWC fanboy, like you said, you can only collect so many pilot renditions.
It's
It's a
like
slam
Panerai. It's
dunk.
like, how do you do it?
Yeah.
Like, how do you
Yes.
open your box every day and look at them like, you're different. You're special. You're kind of special.
Tobacco dial or black dial?
Oh, God.
No, I agree with
Just,
you. I agree with you. My only thing I wonder is if it's too late, if the buzz is cooled off for them to still lean into the Top Gun hype, right? You'd think they would have done more with the popularity of that movie.
well, what's interesting is I think a lot of it kind of shot themselves in the foot because of the delays of the film. It got delayed twice, due to
Yeah,
COVID and everything.
yeah,
But what's also interesting is a lot of the actors were contractually obligated to wear IWCs because of the partnership and the association for the filming of the movie. But what's funny is if you go back to all of the global press launches of that film internationally, all of the actors are wearing Omegas.
really.
Yeah.
Ouch.
So it just got to the point where I think, there was no contractual obligations anymore. And they're just like, I was just gonna wear whatever I want to wear. And yeah.
Because I
So
mean,
I
you,
don't think there was any way to kind of keep squeezing
yeah,
blood out of the stone, if you will.
yeah. I just mean you saw what it did for the Orfina again, right?
For
The
sure.
Orfina prices are way up. You would
And
think that
they had to relaunch it because they're like,
yes. So you would
there's too much
think
notoriety now.
that IWC would have capitalized on that with some sort of Top Gun edition. I don't know, but it just made sense to me.
But again, I think there's only so many Top Guns, Miramars, Mojave Deserts that you can really do before everything's kind of the same,
Yeah,
you know? And you had two other great collections that have existed in your catalog for decades and decades and decades that are really just fading away into the ether. So bring them back. Do something cool with them because I think the market is ready for it.
yeah, agreed there. Let's go to Grand Seiko. I know you and I both had that. Uh, I don't think we're gonna see much that's too crazy out of them in regards to regular models because
Yeah,
they drop stuff all the time. They're always
all
putting
the
out
time.
new season stuff. They're always putting out sort of different texture and color dials in the same cases. I think maybe you see an expansion on the Evolution 9 case. I know it's relatively new. You're probably going to see some crazy stuff like the Kodo is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But I know you have your own sort of 2 cents on it as well.
No, I mean, I think you and I are thinking in the same vein with this. I think last year was really a test market for Grand Seiko to see if they could really launch something like their Constant Force Tourbillon and see how the market would respond to it. And I think the coverage. I remember when I refreshed my news feed and I saw that pop up. I'm like, what the hell is this? It's
Yeah.
like what Jaeger made a new tour. I'm like, wait, that's not Jaeger, that's Grand Seiko,
Yeah.
right? Like
Which is crazy.
it's that level, it's that class. It's just that version. It just looks like that thing. So for me, I think that was really a big test market for them to see if we do crazy, outlandish watchmaking things, can we beat the Swiss at their own game, and can people take us seriously doing it? So I think part of the Grand Seiko playbook for me is really one of two things for Watches and Wonders. One, as you pointed out already, they release pieces whenever the hell they want to. It doesn't matter. They're not going to do a burst. They get enough press and notoriety from doing those little mini releases that I think it warrants continuing that trend. So for me, if you're going to have a major exhibition, you're going to bring your big guns. And I think probably from Grand Seiko, we're going to see more things like the Constant Force Tourbillon, because to me, that's where you flex the muscle. Now, not everyone is going to be able to get those types of watches. So I think in this particular year format, I would really like to see Grand Seiko do one more thing, and that's launch an entirely new collection, a new family. I think, we have the 9F series that's been gaining a lot of traction. It's a new case design, those types of things. But I think the biggest disparity that Grand Seiko has in comparison to a lot of other mainstream brands in its price category is there's really just not a dedicated sports watch line for Grand Seiko.
Yeah.
And I think that doing an exhibition like Watches and Wonders, where all the attention is going to be on you, that is the moment to capitalize and just bring in new fire, new blood, new invigoration to the collection that people are not expecting. And I think an entirely new line, a departure from everything else, the heritage, the classic, the 9F, whatever it might be that you've already have existing, bring something that's cool and unique, and maybe you do a couple references. Maybe you do a diver in 40 millimeter. My God, I can't imagine that Grand Seiko, with all its technological prowess, cannot make a diver smaller than 45 millimeters. Like, I just don't
Yeah, it
understand it.
makes no sense.
It doesn't make any sense. How can you say that you're going to compete against brands like Omega and Breitling and Rolex and all these other high end brands when you can't make a dive watch or tool watch that's in that price or in that size range, especially given all of the other subsidiaries of your company can do it? Doesn't make any sense to me. So I think something like a sports line, maybe a GMT, something in that sports dress category. Um, but I think that's really what Grand Seiko is missing, and I would love to see them do something like that at this year's Watches and Wonders.
Yeah, and so I was sort of thinking along those same lines. In the Quartz GMTs are sort of known as their super bargain friendly watch. I think if
Yeah,
they could just usher that into the next generation of their watches, I think it would be a great move for them, because I don't think that's them anymore. I mean, we
yeah,
we note all the time their prices are just going nuts,
yeah,
and if they could just take that and move it into more of the realm of, I don't want to say the Rolex Explorer, the Black Bay Pro, but to directly compete with those as opposed to being a bargain option for those,
yeah,
I say why not?
yeah. Give me the Zaratsu finishing that people know and love and become accustomed to, but put it on some fat, chunky hands with lots of lume, and you guys are good at it.
Yeah,
Seiko's
make a
got some of the
Grand
best.
Seiko Alpinist.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, you joke, but it's like that's all I want. Give me a ceramic, like give me a watch that is iconic to the Seiko line, Grand Seiko or not. To the Seiko line, give me a Grand Seiko version of it, and give me all the stops. Give me all the Luma Bright you can passively pack into a dial and handset. Give me the dial finishing that has become associated with that particular collection. Give me the mirror polishing on the hands and the markers, everything that people associate with Grand Seiko. But give me the next generation, which is a daily wearing watch. I'm tired of these little manual line dress pieces. I'm tired of, like, those are great, but you're pigeonholing your market base. You can only reach so many people before they just get complacent with what you have to offer because you don't offer a daily wearing option. And like you said, everything that they've done in the past has been budget friendly. Like, I don't want a quartz GMT. Give me a spring drive GMT. Give me a high beat GMT. You are more than capable of it. Some of these already exist.
And just make it
Retrofit those
sporty.
Yeah, just make it into a case with a screw down crown and a nice bracelet with a comfort release adjustment, and you have a real contender.
Yeah, I think that's a home run. I don't If they don't take that and run with it, I don't know.
Let's just start our own watch company, bro. I'm just done. Just give up.
All right. One that I have that's a little bit of a mystery because I really don't ever know what to make of it because they do their own thing. I mean, I know Oris is on the list. I don't know what they're gonna do. I mean, they bring interesting stuff. They bring you the pro pilots. We know what's in their catalog. What I'm thinking, maybe I don't know. I'm really just grasping at straws here, but they have. I don't know if you've ever seen their depth gauge aquas.
Long time ago, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a chunky 500 meter diving aquas. It's just a beast of a diver. What I'm thinking is maybe we bring that up to snuff, and maybe they get into the challenge game. Maybe they start getting into the thousands of meters, right? I could see they want to. They Everybody says they want to play in the ballpark with the tutors with the omegas. Well, you're bringing the movements now, right? You got the caliber 400. You have
Yep.
the movement
It's
tech.
anti-magnetic, 10-year service life. I mean, yeah, it's
So
totally possible.
bring the rest of the specs with it now. Make some insane challenge diver or something. It doesn't have to go 11,000 meters or anything, but show people you can box.
I mean, and it's actually, I'm really glad you brought this up because I didn't even think about it, and you're absolutely right. The depth gauge was something that they did on the old generation of Aquas. I think they did an update not too long ago, but it's been several years now still.
Yeah.
Basically, when they changed the Aquas handset is when they did the last update for it. But you're totally right. I mean, that was a 500-meter rated dive watch with a mechanical depth gauge based on the pressure. There's a little hole in the
Mm-hmm.
crystal, allows the water to penetrate in the case, allows you to indicate your depth on the dial as you are diving, which is, as a diver, is like amazing technology to do this in a mechanical, I guess, in a pneumatic format because it's using
Right.
hydraulic pressure from water to indicate it. But it's amazing to do something like that. And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, they have the horological tops now with movement technology, with anti-magnetism, with service life and warranties that they can certainly do something really impressive and create a new generation of deep sea diving watches for Oris. I don't think that that's impossible at all. And now that you say it, it sounds so
Kind of
simple.
makes sense, right?
It sounds so simple because I think you're right because what we've been seeing, if you think back to the trends, we've been seeing a lot of caliber 400s, we've been seeing a lot of Oris pointer dates, we've been seeing a lot of just very classic designs. We haven't really seen anything with a lot of oomph,
No, we've
with a
got
lot of
some mother of
impact.
pearl aquas, right?
Yeah, I
Some
mean,
diver
I think
65s with fun loom and things like that.
yeah, I think
Upcycle.
the last real big Aquas development that we had was the two tone. Like that was it with like the green and the blue that came out like briefly. I think it was last summer
Yeah.
or the
Yep.
year before. But again, it's a two tone. Not everyone's gonna jive with the two tone look, and especially from a brand like Oris, right? Like it may not be everyone's cup of tea. So Oris has always been known as a diving watch company, especially given their design. It's so unique to them. It doesn't look like anything else in the market. I think that'd be so cool. If you're right, oof.
Josh, you're welcome.
He's probably like, "How did you find out?" Oh, that would be hilarious though. But I would love to see them do something like that, especially from a diver standpoint. Like that's pretty. It's pretty low key gangster, and that's what pisses me off about IWC is they did that too. They had a mechanical depth gauge,
Yes.
and it was so absolutely cool. And they just like, yeah, we're done. I'm like, wow, that's the kind of 2000s era watchmaking I do want to come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just the
Agreed on that.
absolute absurdity of it all. It's like, you know what? We're just gonna push the limit. We don't care. How much money is this gonna cost? We don't care. Just do it. Make it happen.
All right. While we're in 2000s, another one that I have no clue. Tag. What do you think?
Man,
I think it's been a while since we've seen an Octavia. I mean, since that sort of disaster one.
it was so specked way out of proportion. I hated it. I didn't even give it a second thought. Um, honestly, not to throw extra shade. They're so all over the place with everything that they've come out with recently. I really don't know where to pinpoint them, like
That's
at
what I'm
all.
saying.
There's literally not a consistent trend. And it's kind of funny is like it seems so sporadic and crazy. It's almost like they've been listening to our episodes and like doing doing everything that we've said.
I mean, hey,
You know what I mean? I
Mario
mean,
Kart chronograph.
you said it, and then like 6 months later, it comes out. We're like, wait, what is going on here? Like, is this real? Like, again, I thought we were being punked. Like, who made this in Photoshop? It's like, nope, it's the actual watch. So they're just so erratic right now. I just don't know. I really have no idea. You know, I would love to see them do something cool. But yeah, I like we got a solar graph,
That's what I'm
you
saying.
know.
We've been getting divers. We've been getting some random stuff. Monaco, some Carrera. I haven't seen any Octavia, so I'm thinking maybe Octavia.
I mean, that would be cool. Last Altavia was okay. I mean, they had the isograph controversy, which
Right.
got memory hold very quickly. But go back and look it up, boys and girls. The isograph.
Yep.
It used to say isograph on the
No longer.
Octavia. Okay, it was very quickly pulled from the market because it was a commercial failure for Tag. The technology didn't work out. I still have a buddy though that has an
Yeah,
original
you said
isograph.
that. You said that.
It's kind of gangster.
It's a
He only
collector's
wears
item.
it on special occasions, but they've been trying to get it back. They've been really
Oh
trying to
no
get.
way!
Yeah, because they don't want it to leak out. It was like
That it
disaster.
existed.
Yeah, that it existed and was quickly memory hold. Yeah, like it never happened. So I don't know. They came out with their big deep sea ultra tag diver last year, the orange one.
Yep.
Are they gonna do that again? I don't know. They're just so all over the place. I really don't know where to put them.
Like regatta. I don't know.
You would think I would like cool. It was like tags like we're doing a new skipper. Like that would be a surprise. Like that
Yeah.
would be
Yes, it
awesome.
would.
But I just don't think that I don't think a 28-year-old CEO has the enough mental capacity to say, you know what, let's just go off the wall. He's too busy making Mario Kart collabs. Okay. And nothing against Mario Kart, the franchise, because I know it's like a big deal
Yeah,
for
it's
a lot of
beloved.
people around the world. But this is only one of those types of things that will be impactful in the moment. 2 years from now, people are gonna look back at this watch like, why the hell did I buy this? You know what I mean? Like it sold and it went out quick because people were like, oh, the hype culture, they made a Mario watch. Like, let me get that. Boom, done. And now you're gonna sit there sitting on your coffee table, like, do I want to be the guy that wears a Mario watch to work? Like, am I that guy? Like, I love Lego. Does that mean I would go out and buy Lego watches?
Mm,
You know what I mean? Like, it's just maybe a Zen. It's got Lego hands, right?
yeah. It's as
I don't
far as
know.
it goes.
It's as far as it
It's
goes,
as
though,
far as
right?
it
So it's like I just don't know. I mean, what do you think? Do you think they're gonna do anything cool?
I don't know.
Like, are they even
I
still a
think they're
brand?
very stuck right now in their connecteds and their digital situation. I
It's
think they're
such
leaning
a
into that.
such a travesty. I mean, and maybe you're right. Maybe the solar graph is indication that they're regressing. They're going back to like 1980s tag.
Yeah.
Like, we're just gonna go courts and just whatever.
Maybe that's their goal. Maybe that's the little niche that they're trying to dominate.
The courts sports watch again.
Yeah.
I mean, it worked well for them in the 80s when nobody knew about watches.
Hey.
I don't think it's gonna work now. But hey, there's a smarter 28-year-old CEO running that company than me.
All right. I think on to the grand finale here. Let's get to the old crown. Rolex
Boo.
has an interesting predicament this year. They have not one, not two, but three round number anniversaries.
And we'll get nothing. Wouldn't that be the ultimate troll? They're
Oh,
like,
super troll. They just put it the same stuff, different. Yeah.
they're like, hey guys, remember that Sprite? It now comes in right hand drive.
They're all 21 millimeter lugs.
Could you imagine if they came out with a Sprite like they did with the Jubilee and the Oyster Bracelet? We're like, now it's available on both. What if this year the big novelty is now you can get the Sprite right hand drive?
Jesus.
Oh God, it pains me. But you know what? It's so ridiculous that you could actually see it happening now.
Sure.
It's that's stupid.
So the Daytona turned 60. The Explorer and the Sub both turned 70.
Yes.
Now people are surmising that these anniversaries will coincide with the material anniversaries that people use for weddings and such.
Yeah, yeah.
So 60 being diamond, 70 being platinum. And we've seen Rolex do platinum with ice styles
Hmm.
previously. So I think
Yeah.
that's what I've seen a lot of rendering of, which means that we will probably almost certainly not get that.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, I will say this on social media today when I was looking on our page, somebody did do a really nice rendering of a platinum glacier blue dial Submariner with a brown Cerachrome bezel. And I have to say that is a color combination that I've never thought would look good on a sub. Obviously, it looks good on Daytona. It looks good on day date, presidents. Um, it looks great on those pieces. I never thought I'd see it on a sub, and you know what? It's pretty amazing. I don't think we'll get that. I don't think we'll be that lucky because Rolex is just not that imaginative. They're going to give us whatever they decide to give us, but it would be really cool if that was exactly what it was because it's a really pretty watch. There's no question about it, and it is the ultimate flex.
Yeah. And now here's a thought, because they've been taking these opportunities and sort of cracking them up a little bit to make them just a little more unattainable, like how they gave you a blue bezel on your sub, but you got to get it in white gold, right?
Right, right, right.
So I'm thinking maybe they go back to something along the lines of like the Surdy dial. Are you familiar with those? They're gem set.
Um.
They have the ones I'm thinking of are it's like the two tone bluesy, and it has I think sapphire at
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
12,
yeah.
9,
With
and 6, and then it has
you
diamond
know,
markers elsewhere.
yeah, that would actually be pretty cool
It's something
because
they've
that
already done. They're known for, right? If they're bringing back Stella dials, why not? You know what
you
I mean?
know, it, I'm looking at it right now. That silver 30 dial with the the was it sapphires
Yeah.
at the triangle,
And I
the
don't know if you use it
six
in a
and nine.
platinum watch or what, but
I mean, why not? I mean, why not? Right?
yeah,
Like that to me would be very cool because it would be and see to me that is the non-logical thing to do, and that to me would be like that's what Rolex would do.
yeah, that's why I'm wringing the hands on that one.
You know what I mean? Like because everyone's like, yeah, we can do a Cerachrome glacier blue dial, brown bezel, Submariner. Like
Just
that's
like the Daytona, right?
exactly like people expect
They
that. That
draw
would
the
be the
line. Yeah.
logical thing. There's a linear form of thinking here, and Rolex is very much the non-linear form of thinking. It's like whatever the pedestrian people come up with in their brain, we need to do the complete opposite. It would be really gangster. I'm not gonna lie if they did a platinum sub modern day 30 dial. I
Yeah,
think
I think
people
so.
would lose their minds. I would lose my mind because that would be a very inspired watch. It would be just enough of Rolex tradition and history to be relatable, but just enough of a flex to truly honor the anniversary in a right way.
I think so.
And I think that would be very cool. That's a that's a very good idea. I'm not gonna lie.
I think so.
You heard it here on Monday. You heard it here first. Mark your
Certainly
calendars,
dial.
ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a wild ride, and we're all going to get let down when this awesome idea does not come to fruition because it's too good. It's
Yeah, I'm
too
just
good of
trying to
an
get in the
idea.
ballpark. I'm not trying to knock it out. I'm just trying to dump in a single here.
Hey, but you know what? That's a pretty awesome single.
Yeah.
It's a very inspired choice.
Now my question is, because I could see a Diamond Daytona, obviously, but the Explorer is such a no frills watch. Like, are you just gonna make it platinum case and call it a day?
I don't think so.
I don't think you
I
could
don't.
even get that. It just doesn't make sense to me.
I don't think that they'll ever do that one in a specialty format like that because why? There's no there's no history to support it. That watch has really only ever existed in one version, black and white. There was a couple white and black versions, but those are basically rarer than hen's teeth. And like it's a cool anniversary for that watch, but
Do they do full gold?
I
I don't
mean,
know.
like, because it this way, let's just put it this way: if you do a precious metal Explorer, not a two tone, it was already a stretch, and people push back on that watch a lot because it was already like, why?
Yeah.
It's a tool watch. You do it in gold or platinum, full case, people are gonna be like, why not just buy a Datejust? Why not just buy a day date? Like it that doesn't make sense. You know?
Yeah, at that point it's just really a collector's rendition.
Yeah, it would just pure and the only way I could see them doing it is if they did do it and they do it for a year and then it's done and they kill it. Because that's the other thing too when it comes to when it comes to a new launch year for Rolex is like we see very quickly what's gone forever because it's just quietly removed from the website.
Yeah, I mean, I guess could you make a steel with just like an ice dial? I guess, and then it would just be complete unobtainium.
Yeah, because then again you're kind of leaning into that platinum motif or you're leaning into the kind of the Tiffany
Right, and it would
dial
be
motif.
steel, so your price point would be reasonable,
Yeah,
so everybody would be after it.
yeah, it'd still be $40,000 though.
I mean, secondary would be God knows what, but
Yeah, I mean that's my
yeah,
point,
of
right?
course they're not going to charge 40 grand
Because it's gonna
MSRP.
be it's gonna be anywhere between 65 to 7,000 retail,
Yep,
and it'll be four times that cost at
easily.
at at the at secondary market. So
Yep, and then Daytona. I mean, I really don't know where to land on this one.
somebody said this one, because again, it's a diamond anniversary year by the traditional essence, but they've already done that so many times. But someone did point out a good thing. There is a straggler in the Daytona collection right now.
Okay,
It's the two tones.
yeah,
They don't have Cerachrome bezels.
okay.
So somebody said, you know what? Maybe they don't do a full bash out of a new Daytona. I mean, maybe they just go full send and we get a brand new Daytona with a date. Like that would break the internet. I mean, you know what I mean? Like that would literally break the internet. But uh somebody said, if Rolex does follow its pattern, we got the steel with Cerachrome bezel, 2015, 2016. A few years later, I think it was, 2019, 2020, they came out with the full gold versions with Cerachrome
Yeah,
bezels. The only holdouts right now are the two tones. They don't have it yet. So somebody did a rendering of what it would look like two tone with the ceramic bezel. And I think that that's actually a logical thing that could happen. I think it's time because that's a technology they've been using on so many other pieces, and it just makes sense to do it on that one as well. Um, but again, that's a very linear path of thinking. So we'll see. But I think of all the things that could potentially be, that would to me seem most logical.
yeah, and I saw a mock up. It was an ice dial with a rainbow set bezel. Don't think that's coming. I don't know. I mean, it would be interesting if they were to maybe put that green dial to use in another Daytona, and maybe
Oh,
just
like the John Mayer green?
yeah, but instead of a because it only comes in gold, right?
Yeah, it's only yellow gold.
So
Yellow gold and white gold,
right,
I
that's
believe.
what I mean. It's only in the precious, so maybe you drop it in a I don't know a steel, and just diamond it up. I don't know, but at least it would be another usage of the green that's in such high demand already. So
Yeah.
that's a hail mary though. That's just a I've already given up on the ceramic bezel explorer 2 that's never coming out, so I got to come up with a different hail mary here.
The ceramic bezel explorer too. My God, what are you, 2010?
So yeah, I don't know, but I think that has to be it for them. I don't really know where else they would go. We got the Air King last year. We've been getting